Joanne and Jaelyn, the dynamic team behind SP Wedding Co.
As soon as we book you, you're our family. We're planning your wedding as if we're family. Figure out what's most important to you. If you don't want to do the bouquet toss, don't do the bouquet toss. You don't want to have a traditional flower girl, don't do it. This wedding is your wedding. It's not anybody else's. It's incredibly fulfilling to make somebody's vision come to life and then see how happy everybody is.
At the end of the day, it's very rewarding.
For us, just really value that personal, intimate connection with the couple and ensuring that we deliver exactly what they ask.
Hi everyone, welcome. Joanne and Jaelyn, the mother-daughter duo, is finally here on our episode. Yeah. We're very much excited on how we're going to talk about traditions, wedding traditions for today's episode. But we do want to get to know you guys a little better. I want to ask both Joanne and then Jaelyn first how you've been doing, and then just tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'll go first since I'm the oldest. So I have been traveling a lot lately. So it's been good. This is a mother duo bridal company. We have started this about 4 years ago. And ever since there, we have grown and learned our focus. And we have realized that we're really blooming on making this more of a relationship, building relationship with clients. So all of our weddings have been focused on that aspect. So our coordination is really not just like coming in there as a day coordination. So we come in there to the planning and actually engaging and building the relationship. Jaelyn, you want to add more?
For me personally, I am a college student. I'm currently getting my business degree in business marketing. You see where I get it from. Yeah, a lot of it's just been my classwork, keeping up with my other job, and just more putting myself towards this business, getting a little bit into the social media aspect. Yeah.
All right, then I'll answer the question correctly. All right, so before these 4 years of doing wedding business, I'm actually a solution architect. Imagine that. I do project and program management. So this for me is the same thing. I manage multi-million-dollar contracts, implementation. So I've always been good at event management, all this stuff. So for me, this is like an easy segue to that kind of transition. I've always been also a party person. And let's just switch it in a different way. I've always been a party planner person. So I've always been the go-to for families and friends to do party planning. So this has been my niche ever since I was younger up to now. So it's something that I enjoy. So when I do wedding, it's really reliving that life of mine. And it's really still up to now one of the best things that I do is enjoying that love. I love doing this. So there's a big difference. I enjoy what I do.
Wow, that's great. So awesome. This duo that you guys have, like mother daughter duo, is something that's really unique. I find it really unique to have both in the family doing the same thing. And I'm very curious to know, Jaelyn, like how did you start doing wedding planning with your mom?
She approached me randomly on an afternoon telling me I wanted to start a wedding business.
Okay.
And then it happened. I put my mind to something and I make it happen.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
because of that one afternoon, she says, I want to start a wedding business. I've been wanting to do a business my whole life. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I know that I want to do this now because I have the opportunity. So we started up a retail front. And I slept in a storage container room for weeks, just inventorying dresses with her and everything. We started up our first storefront in Hyatt. This is after COVID when everything started opening up back in 2021. And then from there, I started doing the retail part. And then after that, she told me I want to do wedding planning and coordination because she thought that'd be really fun. And I was like, okay, cool. Then we started doing that too. Slowly, I started going to weddings as a coordinator with her. So it was more of me observing rather than me planning. I got familiar with her timeline, the way that she organizes stuff. It was a lot at first, but honestly, as it went on throughout the years, I got more used to it. And it's just random afternoon 4 years ago, she told me she wanted to start a business and it happened.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I did open a Hyatt shop. Yes, in Hyatt in front of the Duke statue. Very close in Hyatt. Yeah, that was a very nice trip for 3.5 years that I had a retail shop that I closed this April 2024 after 4 years of sitting there. 3.5 years of sitting there.
It's actually the reason behind our name, Something Borrowed. We were a rental shop, so we were meant to be people something borrowed. And Yeah, it was really fun while the retail part lasted.
That's such a nice story detail. Thank you guys for sharing your story and how SB Wedding has began. And I know you guys have a lot of experience over the last 4 years, and we're really thrilled to dive into that and the fascinating part of wedding planning. And so I know as wedding planners, you've seen firsthand how certain traditions can both bring warmth and meaning to the wedding, while maybe others may no longer resonate as much as with modern couples. That's something that we do want to explore today, discussing some of the beautiful timeless traditions which really add a special touch to weddings, and others that couples might consider skipping or customizing to fit their personal style. So,
Mhm.
to start off, I would ask a question: in which wedding traditions do you find couples are most eager to skip these days?
So for us, like I mentioned earlier, the it's really the garter toss because I think it just became awkward. After a while, the tradition itself died down. So being that too intimate situation, it's funny, it's the laughter, but at the same token, it's just the new generation don't do it anymore. So the garter toss, it's hardly done anymore. I haven't seen it in a very long time. Seen it twice in the 4 years of the weddings that we've done. Thoughts, Jaelyn?
Yeah, no, similar. I think most of the wedding traditions are like stuck, like the first dances, the toast, the speeches, but the more extra ones, like the garter toss, and then throwing it into the groomsmen, it's just been a little bit. It's just awkward when you have your auntie in the side watching you, who she's known you since a child. It's just a little bit weird. And I'm approaching that age where the people around me are getting married, and I think not a lot of people feel comfortable doing that in front of their family anymore.
For
Mm,
sure. I totally agree. I shoot quite a lot of weddings and doing photo and
Mhm.
video, and I don't see it that often either. It's not really something I paid attention to. I just started to notice less and less people starting to do that. And that makes totally sense
Mhm.
what you guys are saying, that it is awkward, and I can see why people skip it. Do you feel like people have done something else instead of the garter toss, like for the guys? Because I know they still do the bouquet toss, right? Do you feel like people are just
Mhm.
skipping the guys, or do
yeah.
you feel like they're replacing with something else? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so the guys actually are doing more like games.
First one to get drunk
It's
gets
like,
married.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
more drinking games. It's what it's really becoming more. What I notice is the guys are getting more together on what they really want to do. So when we plan this wedding, we're talking about, hey, what games can we incorporate? What kind of activities can we bring together for
Mhm.
us to remember what we did in our bachelor days? We have incorporated most of those more than anything else. So everyone like bringing something a little bit more of a token that's special to them. That's what I noticed, and quite a lot more. It's really focused more into remembering those moments, and for some reason, it's always end up with some drinks.
For sure. How about you, Jalen? What do you think? Do you
Yeah.
feel like it's been
Uh,
just pushed to the side, or do you feel like it's been replaced by something? What are your thoughts?
a little bit more pushed to the side, but I don't think there's usually not too much of a commotion for not having something specifically for the guys because again they're content to drink. We have a lot of the groomsmen just in their little corner drinking and just like reminiscing on memories instead of doing like a whole toss of something. We have pretty fun groomsmen throughout the past years where they just get together, they drink, they dance, they take up a whole dance floor actually and circle each other trying to just impress each other with backflips on them. Yeah, a bit more pushed to the side, but I think they're valuing more the time in the moment than a toss of something that they can keep.
Why do you think bouquet toss is still something that couples do on their wedding? Because garter toss is getting pushed to the side, but like the bouquet toss is just something that we see.
Yeah,
Would you agree with that?
I would.
That's an
I
interesting
would.
question. It is because actually, when I plan weddings, some of the girls don't want to do bouquet toss.
Mm.
And some of them, they don't even want a big bouquet and they only get bouquet in small enough pictorial. So it's really of like, it's a tradition that they carry over because it's something that they are wanting to do because it's a tradition. So it's one of those things that I mentioned earlier that it could possibly even fade away as the generation changes.
Mhm.
So the bouquet toss as well, what I've noticed is that we would have two orders of flowers. We would have the nice bouquet for the photos, and then we would have the slim one just to throw away. right? Just so this way they can preserve one if they do the preservations of the bouquet. So depending on what they're trying to do, it's really in some of the ceremonies that I have done, the bouquet toss is another one that people are starting to sway away from. It's
Mm,
not something that's on our timeline as well.
yeah, I
Mm.
see.
Mhm.
For sure. I was just thinking about it now. The not the last wedding, but the second to the last wedding that I did. I remember they had a bouquet toss, but now that I think about it, the groom actually threw the bouquet as well. I don't know if that's a thing. Like they also threw the bouquet and the guys
Oh.
went to get it.
Mhm.
So I guess they were really trying to avoid the garter toss, but still wanted that tradition. So I don't know. I don't know
Mhm.
if that's gonna be a trend that continues, but we'll see. Just thought I'd put that in there. That I've seen that recently.
Throw away the cigars too. For the guys, instead of doing a garter toss, throw the cigar toss. It's like just trying to incorporate something to get them on the dance, to get them on the floor and just there into the move. But at that moment, I think the modern way of thinking now from the new generation is that some of this tradition does not apply to this tradition. Things are slowly changing on what matters and what is significant to them and how they want to apply it.
Yeah.
Things are
Right.
changing as time.
On that same thought, as far as prioritizing what people find important now, what else are some other traditions that you notice are being left behind or being skipped lately in what you've noticed as far as weddings?
Not a lot of flower girls lately.
I was gonna say
Surprisingly,
that.
not a lot of
Mm.
flower girls. Usually we're asked to throw the flowers just on the aisle before the wedding. So we haven't had a lot of flower girls or a lot of more traditional ring bearers, but not too many people want flowers anymore. I think flowers in general, but maybe it's just a locational thing because Hawaii is very expensive for flowers. We usually have people opt for more like reusable or artificial flowers rather than full on florals or
Mm.
lessening the amount of florals they have. We've been having less and less flower intense weddings when they offer more like other decorations. So I think flowers have really gone downhill as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's but as far as like traditions, I think it is the flower girl, the ring bearer. Those have started to die down, and they've been replaced. Right? They've been replaced with the throwing away their beers from their penny packs. Right? They've been replaced
Flower
with the
girls.
dogs being the ring bearer. So there's new twists to the tradition. So it's not like it's really going away. It's the fact that we're modernizing it. The new generation have found a way to make it significant to them. We're adapting to the new ways of doing it because, hey, it might have worked with my mom and dad having my cousin, my little cousin doing it, but nope, it's my dog that's going to carry my ring. It's not going to
Oh
be
yeah.
that way anymore. So it's there's still a ring bearer, but it's my dog. There's still a flower girl, but it's my groomsman. So it's just changing it, twisting it to adapt to the way it is that would apply to the couple.
Yeah, that's right. And because we're modernizing a lot of, we're seeing now that there's a lot of traditions that being modernized,
Mhm.
and it's not, what I'm seeing right now is that it's not totally being pushed away, but
Mhm.
like what Joanna says, it's being replaced with something new. And I want to ask more about other traditions. Like, what about cake cutting and those stuff
Ooh.
and look, all these
Mhm.
things? How have you seen these? Has there been any changes with doing these things too?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
there definitely has, especially with the cake cutting. A lot of people haven't been getting cakes. They've been doing dessert tables instead, like with their macaroons, cupcakes, chocolate strawberries. Not a lot of people have been buying cakes, and I don't. So instead of doing like cake cutting, they might buy like a small little cake, but not like the huge tiered cakes that people used to get.
Mhm.
More like small cakes, they'll pass it around, but definitely not anything extravagant. Most of the focus is on dessert tables instead.
I'm gonna ask a question here. Do you feel like it's possibly because the clientele that you have and the weddings you typically have are on smaller in size? Maybe like a multi-tiered cake might be overkill, or do you feel like it's really a tradition that people are just
Mm.
going away from? I guess what are your thoughts as far as comparing the sizes of the weddings?
I think it's a tradition a
Mm,
lot of people are moving away from because although we do like to do our micro weddings, a lot of our weddings that we have done within the past year have been 150 plus or around that range.
Mm.
And even with 150 people attending, they still opt for dessert tables rather than huge tiered cakes.
it's the variety.
Mm.
So what they see now is it's cost to value. Think of it that way. So now I'm in marketing mind. It's cost to value. So the cost of a big cake, right, compared to creating a dessert table and a variety. So they could still do a cake cutting. So the tradition of doing a cake cutting is still there for a little cake and then still having a variety of items on the table for the dessert table. But it's also pretty. So think about aesthetic. So the aesthetic of having a small cake tiered it down with surrounding of beautiful items that are little miniatures are also pretty. So when we talk to clients about what has more value for you, because we could order a tier cake that would be sliced up and served to everyone, and they would do their cake cutting. It takes them a few minutes to do their cake cutting, and then we served it out. And then we could, or they decide that it's a dessert table. But as far as traditions, I think the cake cutting tradition is going to stay. I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's a preference, right? It's just a matter of how big or how small the cake would be. It's a preference.
And I can see that too because some couples would want to have like a big cake, but they don't like what you've mentioned, the cost of value. Instead of money on a three-tier cake, what are others have been doing is they do a four tier, and only a portion of that cake is actually the cake.
Yeah.
Just so they can do the tradition,
Mhm.
have the cake cutting, but they will still have a dessert table available for the guests.
So you think about not only the view from the taste perspective too, right? So some of it you have to think about what are the people going to remember. So when we talk to our client, we always think about which one has more impact. We have the impact from the eyes, we have the impact from the taste. For me, it's the taste because I remember everything I eat.
Right.
You really go
Yeah,
to
you
weddings just for
get
food.
good.
I agree. I agree. You always remember the event by the food they were able to serve.
Yeah.
The
If
food
it's
that you're
good,
served.
right?
We still remember some of our weddings based on the food that we eat there.
Mhm. Oh, I remember
Uh,
all of my chefs.
Yeah.
I remember every single one based on the food.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we've
Yeah.
had some really good hotel food this past year.
I want to talk about seating charts. I know it's something that is still being done in today's wedding,
Mhm.
but how important is a seating chart today in today's wedding setting?
I'm going to answer this one because I get people say, "Is this seat available?" So when I do seating plan, so I do this whether you just hire me for coordination or not. I feel like seating chart is actually extremely important because when you have a party, and whether it's my family party or it's a wedding party, you have to make sure that the experience is memorable. You have to have the people that you're surrounded with, that you can communicate and talk to and have that moment with. So I always talk to my couple that when you plan your seating chart, you plan it according to who you know connects. So it is extremely important that you put the people together that can talk to each other, that has the same personality, especially if these are college buddies, right? College buddies that you haven't seen, or college buddies that from her side to your side, but they have the same personalities and they're like one offs and you don't know where to put them. Finding that same personalities, at least they would click on the table. They have something to talk about. So, sitting chart for me is extremely important because I have sitting charts where people will literally move names around, and that is not a good deal when you're planning,
Mhm.
because we also have seating charts, and this is really important, jokes aside, allergies. Okay, seating charts have markers
Mm.
for allergies. When I plan my weddings, I always ask about who has allergies and who doesn't. So in the seating plan, I always make sure that I know where people with allergies sits. So that's important. So if you're moving things around and you have shellfish allergies or peanut allergies, and all of a sudden somebody's going to have an issue, then I'm going to have a problem because I won't know who to help, right? And then also I communicate to my chef, I communicate to the staff. So all of those things are really important when it comes to seating chart. So I make sure I work that out, not only with the chef, with the staff, but also with the couple. So that's a very important aspect with sitting chart.
Anything you want to add on to that, Jaylene? Like for you, how important is having a seating chart in
Very
today's wedding?
important. Very important. Because it's like you have 150 or even a 50-person wedding, that's still a lot of people. And the likelihood of everybody knowing everybody and everybody vibing with everybody is very low. So you want to make sure that you sit next to the person that you're going to have a good time at the wedding. Because it'd be really weird if you're just like friend of the bride, put in with a completely different friend group that you had never met before. So I think it's really important to make the night memorable, that you're with people that you can banter with and talk to all the time, because the unfortunate thing is that the bride and groom can't entertain you throughout the wedding. You're going to have to find other people to entertain yourself with. So for me, seating charts are pretty important. And I think people find really creative ways to make seating charts. I think the most notable one that we have done was a vinyl record seating chart. And it was like, we went
Yeah,
thrifting, we went to Goodwill, we bought some old vinyl records, and we had little cutouts, because you know where the album title is, where they have the songs listed, is where we put the names of everybody in our seating chart. I think there's really great ways to incorporate it to still fit in the vibe with your wedding while making sure that everybody there has a really good time.
For like micro weddings, do you guys still do seating charts? I guess like for a for a 20 wedding guest, you still do seating
table
charts, right?
numbers. So it's
Table
just
number.
Yeah.
table numbers. Yeah. And then I
Oh,
really,
yeah.
yeah. So we just have a printout. And then the printout costs you $20 on Office Max with the board. We lend you our sign holder because I hate those flimsy signs. So I just carry my whole sign holder with me. I just carry my own supply. So this way it doesn't fly out. But yeah, so then it's just all I ask my bride to do if it's a micro wedding is just have it in a sitting plan that there, like, we have a table for 8, put a table number and the names that's going to sit on there. We're not going to do nameplates, name tags and stuff like that, just table numbers. People know what table number they're going to go in when they come in and sign in into the guest area, because you don't want it to be like open either, because what happened when you leave it open with no sitting chart, people carry the chairs, and then
Right.
everyone is like one table with 20 people in it. People like
Yeah.
A little
All
bit
right.
crowded.
open sitting. That's it's like
I love that we're talking about traditions now that are not being skipped. So I do want to ask, what are other traditions do you feel that are timeless and shouldn't be skipped, apart from seating charts, yeah, and cake cutting?
Definitely personal wedding vows. So just the whole point of a wedding is to have everybody that you love and care about witness you swear over the rest of your life to this other person that you care about and love so much. So for me, at least, personalized wedding vows of declaring why you love this person, what you're going to do for them, how you're going to make the marriage fulfilling for each other is really important. And just timeless in general, because it's not meant to change. The way that you feel about that person is the way that you feel about that person, and you want that to last for the rest of your life. And I feel like that's really beautiful, and it's really great to share in front of family and friends.
I guess this is where my age is gonna show again. For me, is the parents' dance. Do we still want to do the parents' dance? But my mom wants to do the parents' dance. And I don't know if I want to do the parents' dance. For me, that's really should stay. I think that should stay because that's like the last moment when your parents still have you and don't have you. You're in transition, right? From that the journey of childhood to adulthood, and now I'm giving you away kind of thing, like permanently. I'm like cutting the cord. I don't know. It's my parent in me. For me, it's like the parent dance. It's very, I guess, like loving moment. It's one of those things. I've seen fathers sang to their daughters while they're
Mhm.
dancing. I've seen mothers cry. I've seen so many like emotions came out during those parents dance that you just see the love. Just like Jaelyn mentioned, the vows, the personalized vows of you to each other, you show that through your words. The parents dance, if you pay attention to the faces, the expressions, it's all in there in one. It's just I cry. That's the one that makes you see me. I'm about to cry. That's the one that is very fulfilling for me to see. As I said, for me, it's that one is extremely like one of those timeless things that I really hope doesn't go away. I always ask my couples to do it because some of them I don't want to do it. Like, no, come on, please do it. I want to please do it.
I guess for you, Jalen, what are your thoughts on the mother son dance and the father daughter dance?
I think it's sweet if you have a relationship with your parents that's really deep and meaningful. But I understand that, like, in some cases, that it's not as important, which is why I valued the personal vows a lot more, because that's towards your partner, and that's just not changing. With your parents, it really just depends on the relationship that you have with them. I personally would love to do a mother, no, I do with my dad, a father daughter
Why
Thinking
not?
that far
We
ahead,
can
huh?
do it with you too, mom. We can do it with you too, mom. It's okay. We'll hold
Yeah.
hands in a triangle. Like, I think it's very timeless, but it really just depends on the type of relationship that you do have with your parents.
For
I
sure.
think it should be a want instead of a you have to do this type thing.
It's a very emotional moment.
It is very
Mhm.
emotional. I know for me as a photographer, videographer, definitely it's an emotional moment, and it definitely provides opportunity for like candid photography and video, especially for the
Mhm.
film. It provides that extra element of emotion. And I know it's not all about the photos and videos, it's about the experience, but the emotion and the experience still happens. And as a parent myself,
Mhm.
like I truly value that part. Like I'm so looking forward to being able to do that for my kids. And then two, what I've noticed for maybe the couples that might feel awkward or maybe not feel like they want to do it at all, a compromise that I've seen a lot is like a shorter father daughter dance, or like maybe 30 seconds to a minute. I've seen that
Mhm.
before. And
Mhm.
I've actually been seeing a lot of it now more lately. So that I notice some people are compromising where they don't want to do the whole 4 minutes, but to
Mhm.
each their own. And for me, I'm still glad that they still do it. I guess on that note, as far as father daughter dance and all that, I guess I wanted to kind of transition back into something that I've always wondered. I'm already married, and so it's not something I'm considering. But what are your thoughts about the tradition of not seeing your, your partner until you're at the aisle, versus
Oh, the first
yeah,
look.
versus going with the
Yeah.
first look? What are you noticing firsthand from your couples and from yourself, like as far as that tradition, where waiting for the aisle or doing a first look?
So, Jaelyn, you want to give your young version before we
My
go?
young version of it. Oh, okay. Really calling me out for my generation. For me personally, when I do get married, I want that intimate moment with my partner where they see me first without everybody else's eyes. Because I feel like it should be something between us because it's something we've been waiting for such a long time. And I want that first look to happen between us two so I can see the full spectrum of their emotion without like possibly them overthinking, oh, like everyone's seeing me right now. I just want the vulnerable moment all to myself at first and then reveal everything else to everyone and then reveal like myself and my dress to everyone else at the aisle. But for me, first look is really important. Would do. I noticed that a lot more couples are still going towards first look at the aisle rather than first look on their own. But I value the intimacy and the vulnerability of doing it just one on one.
That's what I expected her to say.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the aisle version. With everything that I've witnessed, both the aisle and, of course, that, and then the parents' first look, the husband's first look. But for me, what I've noticed is when it's actually on the aisle, I see more emotion from the guy than it is when it's, I'm not calling it stage, but when it's planned because they're expecting it.
Mm,
When you're going down the aisle and you have everyone else sequencing on that walking down the aisle and you have this build up anticipation like that, even though it's like only 2 minutes of the people lining up, it just feels so much longer than what it is. And by the time you just show up over there and everyone else is at awe at you, emotion of everyone else on top of yours gets overwhelming. I've cried on a couple of these guys. Okay, it's not my wedding, but I cry. I'm a tearer. I don't know why. And I watch. This is actually one of my favorite moments of watching the guys' emotions when they get married because I feel like that's raw and really beautiful when you see your future wife on that moment. And it is a very vulnerable moment, as Jalen mentioned. It is an intimate moment. So you could either have it as an intimate, just the two of you, or you could have that emotional support or more emotions come out when there is more of you. So I like the lingering of waiting and adding all more of that pounding emotion to build up while you're waiting for that aisle to come.
Yeah. As far as the couples that you have been working with lately, maybe within the last 2 years or 3 years, do you feel like people are still, for your own experience, they're still sticking to the waiting until the aisle,
The
or do you
aisle.
feel like people are more swapping out for the first look for you as far as your couples?
In the last 3 months, they're more aisle.
Yeah, more aisle.
Yeah,
Mhm.
even in just the last 3 months, more aisle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I totally agree with you because as photo video, I'm going to keep bringing this up because it's the perspective that I have too from the coordinators and planners. Like we are locked in on the couple, and I'm going to take it a step further is that we're like very sensitive to what's happening and the emotions
Yeah.
because that's what we do, right? That's what we capture. And you're 100% right where when people do opt for the aisle, that there is like an overwhelm of emotion that doesn't happen at a first look,
Mm.
and it's not, it's like it's totally another level, and because there's just so much
Yeah.
stimulus involved, right? And you there was that anticipation is higher, and I totally agree it's
Hmm.
really dependent on the couple and their preferences. I'm gonna ask Phil actually this, your personal opinion, like for you, if you were to think about what it would be for you, what would you opt for? Personal opinion, would you feel like you would want to wait to the aisle, or would you would do the first look and that's what you'd want?
I think for a while I've always wanted to have the aisle look.
Mhm.
But it's also something that I may consider, like the first look. Like I know from what Jaylene said, the intimacy and like having that moment to cherish. This is our day, and it's something we've been waiting for a while. And then all there can still be emotions, but I think it depends really on the couple and the preference. And for me, where I'm seeing myself at the moment, I would probably lean into the aisle look still. But like the first look is still something that I may consider, depending on the type of wedding I would be having.
For
Mhm.
sure.
Hmm. Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
cool,
A
thank you
little
for
bit of an odd
answering
ones
that.
out here.
Yeah, if I can speak a little bit as far as, since I'm the
Mhm.
only guy here, I want to speak from a guy
Oh
perspective.
yeah.
And for me, I've noticed it's like a 50-50, honestly, as far as first looks. And both are great from the perspective of photo video. For photo and video, it does provide more options as far as photos. Now that they've seen each other, they can possibly do a little bit of portraits to squeeze them in if the timelines are
Yes.
tight. And then maybe
Mhm.
sometimes family come out for the first look. And then we can not do
Mm.
some family photos with
Yes.
intimate
Mhm.
family and all that. But if somebody were to ask me what I would do, and maybe again, it's showing my age, but I feel like for me, I do value the ceremony a lot. Like I still don't believe it's just I'm just going through the motions. I feel like that's the reason we're
Mm.
there. It's to solemnly swear, to vow to love and honor this person for the rest
Mhm.
of our lives. And I feel like waiting for the aisle, this is just me personally, but I feel like waiting for the aisle is like going all the way, like really doing it to, again, not questioning faith or anything, but it's just like really honoring the whole commitment to the ceremony and swearing to love this person. And yeah, I don't know, again, I'm not getting married yet or getting married anytime soon. But I feel like that's what I feel is important. But then again, like both really are great options, and I'm glad that people have that
Mhm.
and are able to do that if they want to. It's something you do want to discuss
Mhm.
with your fiance. Absolutely.
And like I said, we're all different in our own terms, but I love that emotion build up. I'm a drama queen, so I have a very
Same
low
here.
fuse.
We have a reel of all, we have internally, we have a thing where we see all the first looks of the groom, and it's just whoa, like it's so much emotion. It hits
Exactly.
like every
Yeah,
time.
that's my favorite.
Yeah, me too, for sure, 100%. But go ahead, Joan.
And another thing though, so sometimes you know, like what Jalen said, it's a preference, right? But there's other things that people do now too. You don't have to see the first look of the dress. People just first touch,
That's
or
good.
they go back to back
Mm.
and they read to each other. They read to each other their vows, right? Because they just want to go through the ceremony of that intimate moment, right? So there's other ways to do intimate moment that doesn't have to reflect as a first look,
Mm,
right? So there's different ways of incorporating intimate moments other than first look. If that's, you could still have that first look of that grand emotion build up on the aisle. So there's definitely ways around it. It's a special preference.
I like how you mentioned another modern way of approaching this tradition, and it's going not wanting to see each other until the aisle, but also still be able to have that moment for a couple to just maybe talk or say each other's vows. Some would even pray together. And we can see how people have been creative over the years as far
Mhm.
as like wedding planning, and these traditions have been having their own twists. And we see that these traditions are really a way for everyone to connect, like whether that be the couple, the bride and the groom, or the couple to their guests, their family. And so, from a planner's perspective, what are some traditions that make weddings feel more connected or communal for everyone involved? I know we've mentioned some of these things already, but maybe you've seen other things.
I think the thank you toast is a really good one because even though the bride and groom can't entertain you the whole time and they might not get to you at all, it's really important that they make the toast to make sure that they reassure everybody there, like, we specifically asked you to come because you are this important to our life and we want you to witness this important moment to us. So I think the thank you toast is a really good way to make everybody feel connected and loved during the ceremony as well.
So that's one thing that I always tell people is you either do a welcome toast or a thank you toast because at the end of the day, these people took their time. And we're in Hawaii. People travel to be with us, right? This is a to celebrate you, to celebrate your love. So we want to welcome them, we want to incorporate them. And some of them do plan other than this is like from the perspective of the couple, like this is how we can incorporate you as a thank you toast and stuff like that. And then we have the regular traditions of actually doing toast. So we invite the groomsmen, the bridesmaids, we invite the family. So that's how we incorporate everybody else to say something about each other and how we met, how we grew as a family, how we incorporate everybody. But then in a new way, that tradition have to, again made its way to a modern way, and then now it became a dance crew. Now we have now we're doing, instead of doing toes, we're now do some TikTokers. So we have changed it in so many ways that now during rehearsals we're doing TikTok dancers. So it has changed in so many ways of options. And like I said, we do games. Like we have games that they played in college that now we play here because this is how we incorporate the family. This is how we incorporate everybody. So things change. We modernize things, but we want to bring everybody together to something that's meaningful to them. Right. So that's what it is. It's like bringing things to meaningful to them. So everything is different. Every couple is different. So when we meet you, we interview you, we get to know you, right? So then we kind of plan according to what you want to do. And then we give suggestions and ideas. And if it works, if it doesn't, and we vibe according to what you want to do.
I think that really is the best way to do it because the couples, I know you guys have never had the similar wedding as the others, and so having these personal touches makes it all the more special for them. And I know you've mentioned to make it more communal. Like I agree with the thank you toast because you want to do that. That's something you definitely don't want to skip because you've invited these people, you've created this whole celebration together, and you want to acknowledge everyone who's been a part of it. And that's to say that every wedding, you always have to consider your guests. Like I know you are the bride and groom, but guests are also a priority. And in terms
Mhm.
of guest experience, are there any traditions that are particularly memorable or appreciated by attendees? Like in your experience, have you seen any traditions that became very memorable, seemingly memorable for these attendees?
Not really traditions, but activities. Had couples who, so digital cameras are trending a lot right now. We've had couples who, instead of trying to hire a photographer for the full length of their wedding all the way through their party, they'd give out like digital cameras or film cameras or even Polaroid cameras to their guests so that they could take their own pictures throughout the night. Are
Mm.
mean for them. Like whenever they're in the dance floor and someone's doing something crazy, they just take a picture of that or a snapshot of that. And it just helps everybody feel included because they have the power to capture what they want to capture that ends up in the bridal's photo album at the end of the day.
It's so incorporating new things, right? So they've done those video recordings, right? So they have those little voice messages of like regular notebooks where you sign in your guesses. We change those to digitals. A lot of things have transitioned to digitals. And more, what we're getting is really people are buying a lot of digital cameras and
Mhm.
old video cameras. And it's not because they're replacing their photographer or videographer. It's because they know that their friends capture different moments. You guys will
Mm.
not capture because they're right there in the dance floor taking their little snaps of something that you would like. They want that moment that you will not get because you're not there in the dance floor with them going like this. But they are. They're taking these pictures and stuff like that, and they're gonna be uploading it to this hashtag to this scan code. So that's actually one of the things that a lot of people are doing now, and that's because they want that pictures, that instant, that's something that they can grab while they're waiting for that professionals, because it's not going to be replaced by professionals, because mind you, those are going to be blurry and a lot of fun to look at, as if we just went out partying the night before, which is true. But the pictures that they're going to come on later, it's going to be the professional one. It's the one that's going to be shared across. So those are the things that are really trending that we notice that have gotten and changed.
Yeah, that's really good. And I do agree. Like, the photographers and video can't do everything, which kind of raises the demand or interest in those digital cameras that they can give out to guests, as well as, I don't know if you've seen this in your weddings, but just content creators at weddings where
Yeah.
people would
Yeah.
be with their phones that are just capturing anything and everything and creating reels for Instagram or TikTok and everything. I do want to ask, since we're on this place here, what are your thoughts on like unplugged ceremonies where guests are not allowed to use phones? What are your thoughts on
Mm.
that? One, do you feel people are doing that? And two, is that something you promote to your couples, or do you feel you're against it? What are your thoughts?
I am so pro it. Well, simply because I have too many people standing, taking photos and stuff like that. So actually, it's one of the housekeeping rules, right? So before ceremony starts, we tell them if you can kindly put your phone away. There are professional photographers, and you will get a copy of the photos. And we just tell them if you are one of the aunties that cannot put your phone away, it is this way. Please take photos this way. This is where you're going to
Mm.
hold your phone the whole time. Please do not go
Mm.
like this because we are not in class saying hi to everybody and waving at everyone. So it's really something that I tell everyone, and I ask my bride first if they are okay with this before we put it on our rules, because we do tell them it's a 30-minute ceremony. I think everyone can survive. But there are some times that they do want to live stream it because not everyone is there. So there is options for live stream. That's something that you guys provide, right? So there's option for live stream. So if there's some people they said, "Oh no, because we need to live stream it because someone needs to see it." And so then we talk to the couples if the situation is something in that nature, then they can live stream it. But we do ask that they put the phone away.
I'm in favor of it too. I'm not on my phone that much, especially when I'm out with people and when I'm at events. My mom can attest to it. I miss her calls all the time. I have it on Do Not Disturb permanently. So, yeah, everyone's on Do Not Disturb. I think it's if you're on your phone during the ceremony, at least it takes away from the intimacy of it. It takes
Hmm.
away
Yeah.
from the fact that the couple specially invited you to come. And so they want you to witness this with them in the
Mhm.
time, not on your phone or through a camera screen. It also just ruins photos and videos. You just have that one auntie in the middle of the aisle with her phone out. It doesn't really make it as special if somebody's constantly recording you and constantly pulling out their phone or scrolling TikTok. For me, unplugged ceremonies is a definite, like, I lean more towards that. And even during the party, because a lot of things that we notice is that some people don't dance because they're on their phone. There's some people don't really
Mm.
enjoy it because they're on their phones. So
Mm.
I think an unplugged wedding period might be a little bit great, with the exception of, hey, I'm going to take a couple photos here and there, but out of courtesy, just like staying off your phone so you can really live in the moment and be able to experience the love and the care that the couple put into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. And just really thinking about like weddings in general, you can, because it's yours, you can really
Hmm.
make it your own. So if for you could definitely just be
Yeah.
like, no phones. It's my
Hmm.
wedding and I can unplug it if I want to, kind of thing. And I definitely had a lot of experiences where it's like the auntie or uncle. Like I've even had some with like full blown like iPad Pros. They're just like up here, like standing, and I'm trying to get like a wide shot. And personally, I actually don't mind it. I actually don't mind it when people, as long as they're not like again doing the thing like this, or if they're being respectful. And I'm glad you guys are telling the guests to do that if it's not unplugged, but I actually don't mind it. Me personally, I guess just from a perspective of the photographer again, I feel like I can't get everything. And those videos they capture during the ceremony or the recessional, like they won't get those that day or the next
Mm.
day. And but then the guests will be able to share, post, tag, etc., etc. So as long main thing is that the guests are told like by you guys that they keep it like down here or whatever, I feel like we can shoot around it. We're used to it as long as we don't have those aunties with the
Big
iPads.
ones.
Yeah, those are hard to get out even with AI. For sure.
It's like a sign.
Yeah, whoa, it's crazy. And they get so mad too. When I first started, I used to ask them to go to the side or sit down, and yeah. So now I ask you guys to help us out for sure.
So they get mad at me, not you.
Yeah, I feel like you guys are nicer. Maybe.
Oh,
I don't know. I want
thank
to
you.
say I'm
With a
pretty nice,
smile.
but I'm like holding the camera and that type of thing. So yeah, at least for you guys are the boss. You guys have the tag or whatever you guys got. Then for sure.
Yeah, that makes us official.
Exactly. For sure.
Would agree with the unplug ceremony. And it really is. I think it's like nowadays, it's a bit hard to avoid having people, especially with a big crowd. If you have a very big wedding, there will be people who would sneak, guests who would sneak
Mhm.
around their phones, but just having to do it politely and in a respectful way would be all right. But yeah, I'm definitely also for the definitely leaning also with unplugged ceremony.
Yeah.
And I do have a question, I guess to wrap up the tradition and all in the discussion of doing traditions. I am curious to know like how do you guys help your couple personalize their weddings or like how they want to do their traditions in a meaningful way. It is the Joanne and Jaelyn way.
So this is where that getting to know you happens, right? So
Mm.
this is where Jalen mentioned earlier in the beginning is that we take the time to actually get to know you. So during our consults, we learn who you are. And the first thing we try to understand is what you really envision. It's not about the colors, the flowers, the aesthetics. It's about your real feeling of what you think your wedding is supposed to be. And then from there we derive what tradition still matters, because I asked them, do you want to incorporate any traditions, do you want any cultural traditions? I learn about their culture. I ask them where they're from, where your husband is from, what's your nationality traditions that you want to bring in. So if you're Filipinos, are we doing the money dance? If you're Indian, are we going to do this? We go through all of this. And then they decide what they want to do. And then this is where I find I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, but my mom wants me to do this. So now it's okay. So if your mom wants you to do it, how do you want to do it? It's, I don't want to do what they do. So then we put a twist into it. So then we go and think about, we brainstorm ideas on how can we twist it in a way that is going to make significant, meaningful experience for the two of you, so that you can still do the tradition and then incorporate it into your wedding and not totally take it out. How we make it different. So each person is totally different. Like I said, we work with so many different couples that we just have to figure out what they like and how they want it. And then we go through this process of eliminations to see how they want it. And then we do the plan according to that.
How about you, Jalen? You got
Yeah.
any thoughts to add on that?
Not more so on the my parents want me to do this, but more I want to do this, but I know that I realistically can't. We try to find compromises there. One of the more beautiful things that we had done with a couple is one of our bride's father had unfortunately passed away, but he had written her a song when she was a kid. And she really wanted to incorporate, yeah, she's remembering it. She really wanted to
Flashbacks.
incorporate him into her wedding. So her brother, who plays the piano, and her mom, who wanted to be a part of it, they played and sang the song for her, the full song on her wedding day, to really just incorporate her dad into it and to make it really special for her. I genuinely think that's one of the most beautiful things that we've witnessed in a wedding. But yeah, just small stuff like that, ensuring that really important family members, whether they're here or if they passed, are included in their weddings, especially if they're just as important.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both
Reminded
cried.
me of, we
Oh,
all
so
cried.
beautiful.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
reminded me of the father who wrote her a song when she was a kid and he sang the full song during the wedding.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
read that one too. I'm serious. This I just cry on all this wedding. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm constantly crying. I'm like the ugliest person there. I'm like sweaty and stinky and crying all the time.
Us too. No worry, you're in good
Crybaby.
company for sure. I'm like with the camera, I'm like, "Oh," I'm shaking. Oh my gosh, it's like hard to hold back. That is so meaningful, and it's just one of the beautiful
Yeah.
things, right? What we do, for sure. So definitely don't want
Mhm.
to take it for granted.
yeah.
I do have a question. So when you're talking about really making it personal, and with wedding planning being like in stages, right? You're not planning these personalized things in the beginning. At what point do
Mm.
you have those hard conversations about making it personal and their preferences? Like at what point in the wedding planning does that kind of come up?
See, for me, it's not hard, I guess, because it's so this is where like the type of services that you get from us, right? And this is why I said ours is slightly different from others, and everybody do their business different, right? So this is just how we do it. It's because of the way, I guess, personality wise, this is my personality, this is our vibe. I want to make sure that the people that we work with, we vibe with. So we just don't go with every single bride that we interview. We actually do make sure that we connect, right? So then when we do that, we give the free consult of that 1 hour get to know you, which sometimes takes 2 hours because we vibe too much. We end up talking about everything because I like to
Yeah.
talk.
Mhm.
So during this talking conversation, we actually get to know that person. It's not just talking about, I want to get married in Hawaii and I want this floral, I want to be on the beach, I want to have this, I want to. No, this is when I actually get to hear who you are and get to know you. And then in that process, I start prying about, do you guys have any traditions that you like? So you just sway into that conversations, right? Because you have these conversations of common interactions and you just bring it into it. So then throughout that process, but once we book you as a client, it's a process. It's a one-time process, and I have everything is organized. So it's just like a quick organized timeline workbook. And they one of them the topic of conversations do you have any traditions that you want to incorporate? So it's a very structured process, like I said. So we have sheets for everything, very structured. And one of them is, do you have any
Yeah.
traditions that you want to incorporate? And it's a yes or no. And if there is one, and then I know if you're hesitant because I spoke to you and I know there are traditions that you talked about during our conversation. And I will pry and try to see if it's really you're just hesitant or do you want to. And I will to pry and see if should we just sway it to be something else? And then I would try to make it more fun so that it's a little bit more something that you're interested in. So there's a lot of ways around it. So for me, it's not hard to bring in traditions and cultures. Me being Filipino and me having a lot of traditions, I value traditions. I value cultures. So I always ask about traditions and cultures when I do consults and like to incorporate them.
Yeah. I don't think there's much I can add on top of that, but
For sure.
a lot of it is done in the time that we get to know our client. As soon as we book you, you're our
Mm.
family. We're planning your wedding as if we're family. We want to know you like your family. We want to make sure that we get every single thing that is important to you into your wedding. So again, the conversations aren't that hard for us because we're talking to you like we've known you our whole lives because we want that vibe to happen at your wedding.
Wow, it's good. Awesome.
Now, I do have one last question for you, Jaelyn,
Oh.
Joanne. Okay. So, do you have any tips or one huge advice for couples getting married, especially in this not in the subject of considering traditions, wedding traditions?
Figure out what's most important to you. Don't please other people. You don't want to do if you don't want to do the bouquet toss, don't do the bouquet toss. You don't want to have a traditional flower girl, don't do it. This wedding is your wedding. It's not anybody else's. Tune out everybody. Honestly, tune out your mom, tune out the rest of your family and your friends.
Just
Like,
so ready to
sorry,
say that.
mom. Exactly.
Love it. Real talk.
In reality, it doesn't matter what everybody else is thinking because it is your own wedding. And if it's not fun for you, you won't like it when you look back on it. So just tune everybody else out, make your list of what's important, tell your wedding planner about it. If they try to change your opinion on it because if they try to change your opinion on it because they don't think it's a good idea, but they don't have a good reason behind it, drop your wedding planner, find a different one. Like it's just you should your wedding should be your own and it should have absolutely everything that you want it. So just your own opinions is what matters first.
Yeah.
Don't listen to anybody else.
Your ex. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for your wedding. Tune out your No, but in reality, it's really your wedding, right? And this is what I tell people. The people a lot of times people say they have a say in your wedding. So one of the questions that is on my checklist, who's paying for your wedding? Because people that has a say are typically the people that are writing the checks.
Word.
Who's contributing, right?
Definitely.
I'm just honest. Who's contributing to the wedding? So if I know who's contributing to the wedding and if this person is trying to put an input to the wedding, I will put a little bit of consideration on that person's choice. But again, you see that little, it's a very tiny consideration because guess what? It's still your wedding. It's very significant to you because that contribution is a gift. A gift is a gift. It's not meant to have a weight on it. You're considering the thought process because they gave you a significant gift to help you on your wedding, but it doesn't mean that you're going to sway towards their direction.
Mhm.
So it is your wedding, it is your choice, and it's meant to be the way you want it to be. As Jaelyn said, X'd out everybody. That's how it's supposed to be.
Okay.
And that's what I tell my couples. It's your wedding and this is your day. And you have to make sure it's what you want,
Mhm.
right? It's really what you want it to be. And we can make it as grand and as simple as you want. It's like really depending on who you are. Your wedding should be a reflection of the couple, not a reflection of your guests, not a reflection of your family. It should be the reflection of the two of you.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you, and that it is the couple, right? That you guys should be able to talk about it. What would be your advice again? Because we want to make this personal and really be meaningful for both people that are getting married, for the couple. What would be your what would you say to a bride or a groom and they say that I tried to talk about it with my fiance, but they're just say whatever you want, hon, whatever you think is best, and they're not providing
Mm.
input. And you guys are laughing because this happens a lot, right? This happens a lot. What would you guys say to a bride or a groom that's struggling with this? Because although it would be a lot easier to do it by yourself, I feel like that's not really what they want. They want to have it be both of them. So what would you tell that person who you feel like would be struggling with a partner who's I'm out of it?
Explain. Have a sit down conversation and really explain your side of the point of why their input really matters. Communication is extremely important. And at this point of your relationship, you should be able to know how to talk to your partner, how to communicate with them. But for me, what I find most useful is explaining the reason behind what you're asking them. So a nice sit down conversation of, hey, I know that you just want to make me happy on the wedding day too, but I'd really appreciate if you gave me your input too, because this is our wedding and I want us to have both of our aspects into it. So a nice long sit down, serious conversation about why it's important for them to put input, and if needed, like just even an expectations checklist of you don't need to put input in everything, but these like this list of things are stuff that I definitely want your input in and that I need your input in because it's for the both of us.
Yeah.
Yep, she answered my part. That's what I was going to say. Just set it into expectations, meaning here, I don't care if you only do the bar and the DJ and get the groomsmen's clothes. Do something, right? I get the rest. Have some expectations. So then his contribution, as little as it is, matters.
Mhm.
Because that means that he contributed, he cares, he's part of it, he helped me plan it, instead of I planned my whole wedding. So set expectations. It's a simple communication. As Jalen already noted, you're getting married. That means you already established this relationship. Communication is a big part of a relationship. So this should be something that you should be able to do and manage. When we do this with our couple, I ask who's making responsible, who's making not just the responsible on paying the bills, but who's making the decisions, who's engaged, who's responsible for all of this. And when we make our structure on timelines and responsible parties, we actually do allocate that because I make sure those things are done. So we write those down because we want to help you make sure it's done. We're not just telling you due dates. We're telling you who needs to own what. This way, things are happening because you're not. This is a big task. It's wedding planning is fun. It's really fun. And in order to make it fun, you have to get rid of all of this nonsense and all of these hiccups that can happen. In order to make that happen, you have to have some type of structure. Communication is a big key on that structure.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And it's really been wonderful hearing your thoughts, Joanne and Janine. First, on which traditions are worth holding on to and which ones couples can feel comfortable letting go or adapting. And also for sharing your personal advices as wedding planners and the wedding planners perspective. I know our couples have gained incredible insights from you guys and would really help them as they go along planning their wedding, checking the boxes, which traditions, which are not to do. And so I know I said I don't have questions for you guys, but I actually lied. I do have
Okay.
a few more, but these are a set of questions that we usually ask our guests. My first question is, what is your favorite resource that you recommend for couples planning their wedding in Hawaii?
Define resource.
So let's say like you had a couple, like a friend maybe, and they were like, okay,
Mm.
I'm really just trying to start plan my wedding. Like, what is something I should be considering looking at or using, or maybe taking advantage of that's already available to me?
So I always say start with the free wedding websites
Mm,
because when you go through searching from a free wedding website, then you can go to the basic, right? They have those wedding website, the knots that gives you those planning, what are the wedding planning, what are the standard pricing and stuff like that. Those are Google's, right? So the pre-wedding website that you'll find, because that way you have like a guidelines. But as far as really, if you're interested in really planning, the first thing that you should really do is identify your location. Set your location.
mm,
Because one thing that matters the most is identifying your venue because your venue sets your date. You think you have control over your date. Technically, you have control on the month, maybe not the date. It's really the venue that sets your date. But the resources right there, so I define resource because I'm not quite sure with the way the question is structured.
how about you,
Yeah.
Jalen? What do you think?
I agree with
Resource? Yeah.
her. Same. Free websites, you can learn a lot off the internet. And then if you want, I think the first important thing is what you do with those resources is create your list. What's important, what's most important to you on the little itemized list. What am I looking for? What are the traditions that I'm looking for? What vendors am I looking for? And then from that, look it up. Google. You can even use TikTok if you know how to find credible people on TikTok and some ideas. But Google blogs, wedding blogs are good. They're often overlooked, but they're pretty good. We have one too, sbwedding.co. We have a blog, but like there's a lot of online resources that people give for free just for your benefit.
Yeah.
Well, podcasts.
Yeah,
Podcasts
podcasts,
are good.
podcasts,
Oh, for sure. Podcast.
Podcast.
Yeah,
podcasts.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely link your blog in our description and show notes.
Oh, thank you.
And maybe we got to bring
Mhm.
you back on another podcast to talk about how to plan a wedding on TikTok because I would love to try and see what that looks like. For
We're
sure.
trying
Well,
to start a series.
Yeah,
I was
the
gonna say
TikTok
because we
series.
get
Yeah.
a lot. Well, we get a lot of inquiries on like TikToks on, hey, I like that venue. How can I book it and stuff like that? Their weddings on TikToks, which was surprisingly to me too in the beginning. But in the last 2 years, we get inquiries from TikToks.
Yeah, maybe I'm just a little bit young, so TikTok was the first thing that popped up in my mind. But it's like social media is it's such a huge part of our lives now that people view it as a credible source. So if
Mm.
you're making educational content on TikTok, then and you're credible, then it's definitely a place to go for research. We're trying to start up our own little Plan Your Wedding on TikTok series. So you guys can tune out for
I
that
love
one as
that.
well. So just social media is a good one too if you can find your credible
Yeah,
sources.
tell us about your blog. Is that what it is, or do you guys have like a video series? What is that? We want to.
We're planning it.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Okay, got it. So is it going to be like on
Yeah,
YouTube,
yeah,
on your
yeah.
website? What do you think it's going to be?
More
She
short
wants
form
to do it on
content.
TikTok.
TikTok. Okay, okay, for sure.
Let me put a little bit more of an explanation into that. Because long form content's a little bit harder to consume if you're not constantly and a
Mhm.
lot of people are on the go. I think a more short form series of focusing on specific things like, oh, budgeting for rentals, budgeting for this. Like budgeting would be
Mm.
the first thing that we hit because that's always people's first thoughts of, oh my God, my wedding's expensive. I can't afford this. So let's give you a realistic view on how much that's going to cost in Hawaii specifically. And then after that, we're going to go into, again, different traditions, ways that you can incorporate yourself into it. But right now, we're more focused on the budgeting part. We're currently planning it. I'm trying to write out a little script and then figuring out the topics for it. But yeah, it's something that we want to start up. You're going to see that both on TikTok and Instagram, more short form content. And then if we get the chance, we do want to start a long form series more on YouTube about wedding planning, like a full, like following a full wedding planning
I
process. But yeah,
yes, I told her I think a video of a real
cinematic.
reel.
Yeah.
Yes, something that you probably very familiar with because you do video. A lot of the things that get lost is that um, we have all of these movies of like how the TV shows are on weddings, but we don't really see like how it is behind the scene of what people do to make that wedding happen. So I feel like that's what we need to showcase. It's this
Mm.
lovely vendors that are sweating in the background to make
Yeah.
a beautiful picture in front of
Yeah,
you,
agree.
right? So that is, I
Mm.
think, the content that people need to see is that you're not paying this $5,000 hand for no reason. You're not paying this $2,000 photo. You're not paying this $600 cake. How that happened to
Yeah.
make that
Mm.
happen because they need to
Humanizing.
see the reality, right, of what's behind that beautiful photo. And that's what I think needs to be in perspective because cost, again, my marketing mind, cost is the first thing that the brides see when it comes to budget.
Mhm.
And the first thing they cut is the highest cost. So how are you going to save money, right? So it's always about saving money. But I want the best of the best for the lowest of the cost. So it's a thought process. So I don't know. You want to do some behind the scene videos? Yes, we're down for that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the series we're planning on doing. Is that we want to see, we want to show you what it is really to bring a wedding into life. Because we show them in showcases, right? We show them in little reels, we show them in little things, but people don't really realize that to put in a $50,000 wedding, these are the sweaty people behind there.
Yeah.
These are the ones that made that happen. Of 2 hours people tenting, 3 hours setting up tables, another 5 hours. You know what I mean? Those are the things that you don't see.
Wow, you guys have really amazing wedding planning visions, and I'm sure a lot of, yeah, no, for
We
real,
have
yeah.
creative minds.
I feel like this is the first time I'm hearing these types of vision, and I'm sure a lot of the couples and even like vendors would love to learn about it and see what you guys have in store. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, we look forward to it and wish you well with those plans, you guys. And I know in line with this, I want to ask a question like, what do you believe is the reason you do what you do, specifically being in the wedding industry and doing this for a couples planning their wedding, coordinating everything for them?
Mhm. It's really fulfilling. It's in, it's incredibly fulfilling to make somebody's vision come to life and then see how happy everybody is. And it's once it's fulfilling, it's not hard work at all. It seems, oh, I'm going to
Yeah.
be working this 12-hour day, but the 12-hour day doesn't even feel like 12 hours because you're just watching people like they get married and then they're happy and they're surrounded by their friends and family. And then you think, oh, I helped make this come alive. And it's really gratifying work to put in. For me, I really like seeing people happy, which is why I also struggle not to tear up at weddings as well, because it's just happy. That's it. It's just happy, content. I don't think we've ever worked a wedding where people were angry or upset or
Yeah.
anything along those
Mm.
lines. All of our weddings have always been really exciting. Everybody wanted to be there, and we want to be there.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's really fulfilling. And for me, it's not just the end product, the fulfillment of the end
Mhm.
product and seeing that happiness, that moment. It's the relationship. I have my couple still connect with me. I still talk to them. I messages. Hey, I'm coming back to Hawaii. I miss our coffee time. I miss our drinking time because depending on the time zones that they're in, I'm either drinking coffee or having wine or mixing drinks together. So it's a relationship. We build this relationship. It's really friendship at this point. You have invited us to be part of your life. This is a significant milestone. Anybody that's going to walk in here, even though I've taken out some wedding crashers and a couple of our weddings, but we're not one of them. We're actually part of your wedding, and we became friends in some sense with these people. So it's really fulfilling to do this, and it's not a job when you like what you do.
Mhm.
So there's a big difference. It's a very tiring 12-hour day. Sometimes we start at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. We don't finish till midnight on some days during the session itself. We work tireless days. We clean up, we stay throughout the day. At the end of the day, it's a very rewarding. It's really beautiful to love. To see that every time, you can't say that it's not a good job. But
Yeah.
it's not a job. It's very rewarding.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I totally agree with you guys. I can see why this is something you are doing for the last 4 years, and I can see you guys doing it for more years. And I think you guys are just you're just at the beginning. I feel like it. Like there's still really more in store. And so I want to ask, where can people find you and get a hold of you?
Instagram, TikTok, our website. We are in most social media platforms. A lot of people contact us through Instagram or directly through our website in an inquiry form. sbwedding.co would be our website. On there, you'd have all of our contact information. You can choose to book with either me or my mom. Yeah, and we try to work around each other's schedules. And we give out our phone numbers for you guys to reach us at any time as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely place your social media, your websites on our description links. Thank you so much,
Of course, thank you for
Joan and
having us.
Jaelyn, for sharing all your expertise, your insights, and we've really had a fun time talking to you guys. And I for sure we've learned a lot having this conversation. Any final
Thank
thoughts for you,
you.
Charles?
No, it's great. Thank you guys.